मगर मेरी दादी और मम्मी बोलते घी खाना चाहिए, घी जरूरी खाना।
सारे दही खाते हैं, मैं खाता हूँ, मेरे घर वाले खाते हैं।
मेरा पाँव बहुत दुखता है, डॉक्टर ने बोला है 2 टाइम दूध पीने का, तो मैं पीती हूँ।
हम सालों से घर पर A2 मिल्क ही यूज़ करते हैं और वही पीते हैं।
हाँ, मतलब अभी वे प्रोटीन में तो प्रॉब्लम नहीं होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि वे प्रोटीन से हमें बहुत सारे एडवांटेजेस है।
Namaste, I'm Dr. Rupa Shah. In this episode, I would like to share my journey about learning how to become healthy through a plant-based diet. It all started about more than 15 years ago when I attended a workshop by Dr. Nandita Shah. In the workshop, I learned that type 2 diabetes can be reversed. I had a family member who was suffering from diabetes and have seen the suffering through the years. I was very overwhelmed, surprised, because as a medical doctor, I heard this for the first time, that diabetes can be reversed. I thought, okay, what is it all about? I learned in the workshop about giving up dairy products for 30 days. Truly speaking, I thought it was extreme. I always ate mostly organic food, but to think to give up dairy was extreme. But because I heard it from Dr. Nandita, I thought, let me give it a try for 30 days. Just an experiment. That's exactly I did. I come from a vegetarian Gujarati household. We do eat a lot of dairy products like curd, butter, ghee, also paneer at times, ice cream, shrikhand, cold coffee with ice cream, rasagulla. Just love all those foods. I gave up dairy products altogether in most of the foods. For the first week, I saw some change. Then the second week, third week, in fourth week, complete change. What I observed that I was suffering from migraine headaches for 18 years, acidity, vomiting. I would just lie down and recover only next day. Those migraine headaches completely disappeared in the first month itself. No acidity, no vomiting. Every morning I woke up feeling very light in my body, very energetic, mentally very calm and pain-free. What a freedom, what a joy. I was completely overwhelmed. After that, I decided that I must do this 100%. Yes, I gave up all the dairy products 100% from my diet. But the big question in my mind, I'm a medical doctor, trained in Western medicine, practicing for more than 25 years. What is wrong with dairy? What is wrong with that glass of milk that comes on my table? I didn't know anything about it. Can dairy be so harmful to my health? I started my journey of discovering all the problems with dairy. I started meeting quite a few doctors who knew about it. I read books. At that time on internet, there were very few videos. I started watching them and learning all about it. I understood what's wrong with dairy. And that is the very journey that I'm going to share in this episode about what is the problem when we take dairy products, how dairy products are actually making us sick rather than healthy. We Indians love dairy. We are one of the largest producer of milk in the world, also largest exporter of beef in the world. How come that? We love dairy products. In Chennai, it is curd rice. In Punjab, it's lassi and paneer. In Gujarat, it is makhan. It is chash. You come to Maharashtra, it is tak. We love dairy products. We eat them. Youngsters eat cheese. Older people, they love paneer. They love ghee. We just want to have chai. Where is the problem with dairy? In this chapter, you will hear words like whole foods, plant-based, and vegan. So let me tell you very quickly the difference between whole foods, plant-based, and vegan. Whole food means the foods which are not processed. Plant-based may be plant in origin, no animal products in it, no dairy also, but this may contain several of the processed foods like sugar or maida. And the last one is vegan word. Vegan means it is really the part of animal welfare movement. It's about animals for animals. However, a plant-based diet is part of the vegan movement. So sometimes when we use the word vegan diet, it's really the plant-based diet.
Dairy is bad for many reasons, but the first reason is that every mammal produces milk only for their young. And in nature, no animal drinks another animal's milk. That means pigs don't drink goat's milk and monkeys don't drink elephant's milk. So what are we doing drinking another animal's milk? And that too our entire lives, right? Milk is the food that nature makes only for infants. So we should not even be consuming milk. That means if we leave cow's milk, we don't need a substitute of plant-based milk. That's only for pleasure, not only to prevent us from feeling deprived, But we don't need any milk. Okay, now only an infant needs milk. An infant, the very best milk that an infant could have is mother's milk because it has all the nutrients. Then in order for the cow to be reasonably healthy, because when we take milk from the cow, we're injuring the udders. We can't help it. Whether it's with hands or milk machines, hands in milk machines are not meant for the udder. Only the baby's mouth is meant for the udder. So when we consume milk like this, there's injury on the udders, leading to inflammation, induration, and that means antibiotics need to be fed to the cows every single day. And it's a part of the feed, ready-made feed. So when we consume milk, we are automatically consuming antibiotics.
When a woman is pregnant, we rarely give her antibiotics. Why? Because the antibiotics will go to the baby. If she is breastfeeding her baby, again we don't want to give more antibiotics because it will go to baby. We are very careful about it. We always, don't want to give this because it might affect the baby. But when a glass of milk comes on our table, we forget to ask the same question. What antibiotics were given to the mother of this milk? Or several mothers' milk is mixed and it's on your table. It's the concoction of various antibiotics going in your system completely unknowingly. And be ready for the bugs in your intestine will receive all these antibiotics, and antibiotic resistance is the result of it. And that is very, very harsh problem for any doctor to handle. What's in the glass of your milk? Do you know? Dioxins. These are toxic chemicals that are environment pollutants. These are fat soluble, and all the food that has higher fat content will store more dioxins. We humans have 90% exposure to dioxins through the food. And the food, which food? It's dairy and meat. When you eat more dairy and meat, dioxins enter your system and start disrupting various functions of your body, including reproductive system, maybe developmental delay, etc. Dairy products are expensive. They are sold in very high quantity across India because the demand is huge, consumption is very high, and they are very expensive products. So when a product is expensive, there is a parallel market of two kinds. One, to produce similar looking products, and second, to adulterate them, contaminate them. So there's a very funny dialogue that we always use. Bhaiya ji, दूध में पानी डाला है क्या? Of course he's not going to say, but you don't know what's coming on your table. From time to time we hear so many newspaper stories about a fake milk, somewhere where there is no cow or buffalo, some place getting made or packed in plastic bags and contaminated also. The problem is this, that our production is, say, a certain quantity, our demand is very high, and to meet up this demand in the market, there's this parallel market that is going on. And no matter what, how much ever our government try to find out, is not able to catch up with the issue. Government laboratory had tested the milk across India, and they themselves found very high contamination, adulteration in many states of India, and government is very disappointed with this kind of practices. So this is a known fact. It contains soda or washing powder, or we don't know what it contains, and some of these things are very harmful for our internal organs. We are paying a very heavy price of it. Dairy products that you must watch out, which are likely to be adulterated, are mawa. Mawa is used in so many Indian sweets. Also, milk itself used in tea. Then butter. Butter can be totally fake. You could also have paneer, which might have tofu in it. And then finally, ice cream. Also, ghee. Ghee is also often adulterated.
So if you look at milk, what is really milk?
Milk is a combination of, majority of it is water. It has some protein, it has some fat, but the biggest nutrient in milk is sugar, is lactose, which is a combination of, which is galactose, which is a combination of two sugars, which your body then digests. So what you're really drinking is a sugary drink. Therefore, all the other, which mother's milk has just in the right proportion for the human baby. So when you shift over to an animal milk, whatever it is, cow, buffalo, goat, etc., you're not going to have that same taste as the mother's milk. So that is masked by adding sugar. And excessive sugar, is hooks on the child to any sweet beverage or any sweet food like chocolates, like other sweets. Children become addicts to sugar because of the pleasure and the high it gives you and the sugar rush which it gives you. And that leads to then the child getting fond of the sugar part of the milk. It's not really anything to do with the nutrition in the milk, which is making the child attracted to it.
When you're looking at dairy products, there's two big factors to consider. Number one, you want to realize that dairy products by itself, even if they're not adulterated, which is the second factor, but let's say that you're getting the purest quality of dairy, it's not adulterated at all, it's still high in sex hormones. So just think of a human pregnancy. So when a mother is pregnant and she delivers, the year after delivery is a hormonal turmoil in the mother's body. The mother goes through a lot of changes, and that happens after delivery. The same also happens to the animal. Animals going through so much of hormonal turmoil and all of those growth hormones and sex hormones, which is important for the calf to feed on, because you want a little calf to grow as fast as possible. When you're drinking the milk, even if it's the best quality milk, you're still getting that in your body.
And the food that contains the highest amount of animal estrogen is dairy. So milk is from a lactating cow. Her estrogen level is high. What happens though is that while the cow is lactating, they have been bred and designed by humans to be able to become pregnant even while they're producing milk. And once they're impregnated, the estrogen level shoots up very high in that cow. Now, when people are consuming dairy, they're consuming dairy from all these different cows. And some of that, a very large percentage of that milk has extremely high estrogen levels. And people are consuming that.
There are endless number of cases where young girls develop puberty very early in their lives, like 9-year-olds, getting puberty, is because of the hormones in dairy. The estrogen in the cow's milk, progesterone, estrogen, prolactin, God knows what, growth hormones, insulin-like growth factors, a lot of these hormones which are loaded in dairy and just doesn't go away by boiling it. It's there. So these hormones are consumed by these young kids, and then the body is getting confused about these hormones, whether it's our own hormone or the cow's hormone. The body doesn't know. So that's how the boys are developing obesity and gynecomastia. The girls are hitting puberty really early in life. Young girls are suffering with PCOD, menstrual disorders, painful menstruation.
So suddenly we hear that a 9-year-old girl, she got period. She doesn't even know what it is. She's not even physically aware or, ready for such a incidents. Usually the normal time of period is 13 to 14 years. And that's when slowly the mind is more mature, emotionally stable and ready. The body growth is also matching up. But here the physical growth is there. The hormones are in a hurry and she gets period. But she's not mentally and emotionally ready. And this creates a big stress on a child. It's not for a child to get periods. It's for a teenage girl, to get periods. So this is creating a lot of trouble in our society. With that comes the danger of having the physical growth, but not having the mental and emotional growth to match up with it.
So milk is causing a lot of issues in children of all age groups. So starting from the youngest age group, in infants and toddlers as well, they keep consuming a lot of milk, they refuse solid food, and because of that they are falling sick frequently, they become anemic, they have constipation, a lot of mood issues, behavioral issues. As the child grows older as well, older kids also have a lot of allergies because of dairy products. Allergic rhinitis, asthma, skin issues, they fall sick frequently. So overall, milk is causing a lot of problems in children. And in adolescents as well, we are seeing early puberty because of increased consumption of dairy products, animal products, and ultra-processed foods. So overall, we need to reduce consumption of these things and focus more on a whole food, plant-based eating pattern.
Often I take case history of my patients and I have learned that they are not able to digest milk. They get acidity or they get indigestion, they get diarrhea sometime, or some of them also get a lot of gas problem. So there is an issue with digestion of milk in adult population.
And apart from that, I've also treated people with gouty arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. The same principle applies even there, because dairy can cause allergies to a lot of people and it doesn't go very well. We can't digest dairy only because we don't produce the enzyme. It's as simple as that.
So dairy, I feel, is basically, if you look at it from a medical point of view, there is no animal in the animal kingdom who drinks the milk of another animal. Milk is species specific. It is meant for, a mother's milk is meant for her own child. And that is why we are called mammals, from the mammary gland. The word comes from there. And once we start drinking the milk of another animal, we do not really have the system to digest that. So we have an enzyme in our intestine which is called lactase, which helps us to digest our mother's milk. Our mother's milk contains the right proportion of a sugar called galactose, which the human body can digest. And the moment we take something which is not native to our system, we tend to get into problems. Our lactase production actually switches off once a child is weaned off mother's milk. And the moment we start trying to drink another species' milk, it creates a lot of issues. We have any number of problems which dairy can cause, like a leaky gut.
We love milk. We have the concept that if I don't have milk, I will be very weak, I will be sick, I will not be well nourished. And so the milk just doesn't go out of our system. We may do anything. We may add something in it. We may create a recipe out of it, but it must go into our system. That is our obsession with milk.
So, researchers say that the saturated fats present in dairy products can have an adverse effect on the immune system. And the dairy proteins, especially casein and lactalbumin, can create an allergenic effect in the body, can increase inflammation of the airway passages, leading to exacerbation of asthma symptoms. So eliminating these dairy products and replacing it with wholesome anti-inflammatory foods from fruits and vegetables and greens will be very helpful in minimizing the impact of asthma, and also can be helpful in reversing this condition. In fact, it was my personal experience as well.
In 2010, there was a doctor in my neighborhood who asked me to stop complete all dairy. I said, okay, let me try this. If things are not working, I'll try this also. As I was consuming a lot of dairy, 3 glasses of milk per day, I was having curd, I was having cheese, butter, ghee on my rotis. When I completely stopped dairy, which took me almost 5 to 6 months to completely eliminate it, my asthma attacks came down, my IBS symptoms started going down, and I was feeling a lot more better and energetic. And then there was no looking back and turning back after that. My life completely changed. My energy levels got better. My immune system got better. My skin started glowing. I started running marathons, and I took up so many physical activities which I was not doing before. So definitely this whole food plant-based diet has made my life stress-free and I would say more energetic. And now, after doing more research, more compassionate also.
But being a vegetarian, I never thought I need to look into my diet. We consumed a lot of dairy and I never thought that dairy can be the cause. And that was like, I would say, a very big, insightful information which we got, that dairy products, because I was a vegetarian, तो लगा कि non-veg तो खाते नहीं है, सारा problem तो non-veg food में होता है, dairy में क्या होगा, and the minute we dropped dairy, we saw plethora of improvement in my health, not just cholesterol, but migraine, which I was suffering from the age of 18. I had rosacea, very, very severe skin disease on my face, and I used to, have energy dip, very stressed, depression, not very depressed, but, like feeling horrible about my skin. Ye sab theek ho gaye, just with that one diet. My son's asthma, chronic asthma, my older son. My husband's acidity. My in-laws' BP and sugar came down. One of my relatives, they are cancer. I can just go on. While the discussion of milk is going on, suddenly this thought comes up in the head. A2 cow milk must be good for us. So I've switched over to A2, and milk, ghee, dahi, everything is of A2 cow. So now I'll be looked after. Indians have been drinking milk from our deshi cow maybe 100 years ago. So milk, curd, ghee, everything from this deshi cow is identified as A2. And so now there is this concept that A2 milk must be good for us. Let's hear what goes on with A2 cow.
The kind of predominant compounds that we are trying to avoid are the same. So it still has casein, regardless of what kind of casein is there. Some people say, oh, A2 is better for me because I don't have bloating or whatever. But the point is that it still has, casein, it has IGF, it has stress hormones, it has other compounds that are really not good for you from the beginning. So it does not matter whether it's A2 milk or A1 milk. I mean, I've had so many people come to me and say, oh, I'm just drinking A2 milk. I said, you'll still get the same kind of diseases that dairy is going to give you. And you should basically try to avoid this just so that you don't have any of these stuff ingested in you, and just stay away from them is what I would advise. Eat zero milk is what I would advise.
See, we come from the culture where we are having this concept that curd is very good for health. Even buttermilk, we must have curd. Everything else you may want to give up, but dahi to chahiye. You have curd rice in Chennai, you have chash in Gujarat, you have tak in Maharashtra, you have raita, you have lassi in Punjab. So dahi, the curd is very close to an Indian's heart because the concept that it gives us healthy bacteria. Well, I agree. It does have fermentation process and the healthy bacteria. However, what is the raw material? The milk, and the milk still contains antibiotics, hormones, pesticides, and you are still going to get all those problems that the dairy products are giving you. And therefore, I recommend that curd also should be eliminated. However, we have a choice. When we make plant-based curd, it's also fermentation process. It has also healthy bacteria, and it's a very good replacement for the dairy curd. So you will still have a healthy gut. You can still have your buttermilk. You can still have your raita, your lassi, your shrikhand, everything that's made from curd, exactly the same way, but all the goodness of plant-based curd. When teenagers come to my clinic, I have observed they have a lot of pimple problem, acne, and they want to apply some or other lotion locally. But it's not about applying something locally. It's about what you eat. And invariably, I find them cheese addict. They eat a lot of cheese, and there is a direct link of cheese to acne. Casomorphins that are there as part of casein in the cheese are going to addict us. Therefore, teenagers are cheese addicts, and no wonder why they have also pimples as problem. They come and tell me, oh doc, चीज़ के जैसी चीज़ मैं छोड़ नहीं सकता. चीज़ तो मुझे चाहिए, एवरी डे चाहिए. चीज़ तो हेल्दी है ना. These days, we go to hotels and we see the menu, and there is so much cheese in every dish, even Indian dishes. Apart from cheese pizza, burger, sandwich or baked dishes, we also see cheese in dosa or pav bhaji or paratha, or some other dishes are sprinkled with cheese. So why this has happened? When we were young, we only saw 1 cube of cheese in a whole year, and we hardly ate it, or we did not even relish the taste of it. But these days I see teenagers having lots of cheese because it's everywhere. There are 50 kinds of cheese available in the market, and it is so easily addictive. One doesn't know what is the reason, but it is said that there is casein in the milk, in the cheese, that is combining with morphine-like receptors in our body, which is called as casomorphin now, in the body, giving the dopamine-like effect, and therefore it is said that why teenagers are addicted to cheese all the time, and they want cheese in some food every single day. Also, it is known that it may cause acne in teenagers because of too much consumption of cheese.
For me, personally, there was a craving for cheese, which took me about 2-3 months after I started to become vegan. I was able to give up everything but cheese for an additional 3 months because I still liked this taste. But interestingly, I have no cravings for any of those anymore. But I did at one point.
अगर मैं दूध नहीं पीऊंगी तो कैल्शियम कहाँ से मिलेगा?
So the nurses study is one of the largest scientific studies conducted in recent times. There were almost a lakh of nurses, 96,000 nurses were studied. And one of the key findings was that they had an increase in acidity in their blood, mainly because of consumption of dairy and, there's some meat products also. And that just goes on to validate what I had said earlier, which is that if you have more milk, etc., you'll have more acidity in the body, and that causes leaching of calcium out of your bones.
When I tell people to give up milk products, they are ready, excited. But just in some time, one of them will get up and say, "Arey, but what about my calcium? Calcium मुझे कहाँ से मिलेगा?" Arey, for that I've written the whole book. What about my calcium? How do we get calcium from the plants? What do you think? Where do a cow and buffalo get her calcium from? From the grass. Same, for us to get calcium, plant-based diet is sufficient. There are lots of sources of very high calcium, even more than the dairy products.
So the route which non-veg takes for damaging the system is twofold. One is increasing the inflammation and acid in the system, which itself is a bigger cause for insulin resistance besides IGF, and more deposition of fat inside the system. And that excess fat itself starts jamming the receptors from inside, as Dr. Bernard says very beautifully, the chewing gum effect as it is. So IGF molecule from outside, acid inflammation at the cell membrane level, and fat from inside. All these are good enough causes. Also, many of them are devoid of micronutrients. You cook them, enzymes get lost, vitamin, mineral levels are low. And demineralization itself is a very, very important cause of many, many problems now, because minerals makes our body alkaline. And if you are on a heavy dose of dairy or non-veg, continuously that onslaught of acid coming from that is going to leach the minerals from the muscles and the bones to neutralize the acid influx. And that demineralization itself will create more problems inside the system.
Yeah, so that's a common concern people have, that they need milk for bones, that maybe they need calcium for bone health. But the first question is, how much calcium do we need? We don't really know. The expert recommendations are quite different. So the World Health Organization says we need 500 milligrams. The UK says we need 700. In the US, we've been telling people 1,000 milligrams. So we probably don't need as much calcium as we've been told. And we can get plenty of calcium from green leafy vegetables like collard greens and mustard greens, which are so prevalent in India. And then beans, like all the legumes, those are also great sources of calcium. And fortified plant milks or soy can also be a great source of calcium.
How much calcium do we need? Here is the perfect chart that you can see in the book. It's taken for our Indian audience, but it also has American and UK chart as well for comparison. And you can see when you are growing during childhood, you need about average 600 milligram. Also, when you are rapidly growing up during your adolescence, then of course your calcium needs are much higher. And then think about pregnancy and lactation. These mothers of course need much higher calcium because they are feeding their baby. And as the menopause approaches, again the woman needs much higher calcium. But however, for our Indian audience, an average 600 and in some situations up to 1200 milligram of calcium is recommended. We get it all from plant-based diet very comfortably.
Have you ever seen a child, of 3, 4, 5, who's being forced to drink cows or buffalo's milk, drinking it happily? I've hardly seen anybody. They tend to, cry, they tend to refuse. The grandmothers chase the child around the house. They add all sorts of things to the milk to try and coax the child to drinking. And why does the child not like to drink milk? There is hardly any child who really enjoys milk. They start liking it after they have been forced to drink it. So the reason is that most children can't tell you, but they get tummy pain, they get gas, they get burning around their anal area because of the acid content of food of the stool because of changes which milk produces. And that causes the problem, and the child is unable to tell you all that.
Yes, so milk has a good amount of calcium, but a lot of plant options also have a better amount of calcium. So when milk comes with a package of hormones and saturated fat and no fiber, it makes sense to seek our calcium from better sources, which are the plant sources. So I always tell my patients to focus more on nachni or ragi, rajgira, that is amaranth. Sesame seeds are very rich in calcium. Green leafy vegetables are rich in calcium. A lot of other vegetables like broccoli are also rich in calcium. So when chosen correctly, we really do not need milk for our calcium.
Let me show you how easily you can buy calcium from the greens that are available in the regular, ordinary, local markets. I get the job. So friends, I'm at the very simple car market. It's a car municipal market and looking for protein sources and also calcium sources. This is a season now. In the month of February, we get this, we call it as popta, or it's also called as harabara, and which is nothing but our green chana. You can see right over here. This is the best source of protein. You also have this rajma beans, which you can cook. This is how the bean looks like. You open it and you get rajma beans, which is high in protein, also calcium. And then you have choli beans. These are the choli beans, and she has already got them all out, ready for you to steam it and then eat it. We can make chaat out of it. And here, many people have not seen this. These are broad beans. These are also high protein. All I'm going to say is to get protein, it's right here in the market, ordinary market, very cheaply available. Here I am in the market, regular market, and I see these reddish. You can see these leaves, these are very rich in calcium. You see also the red amaranthus, you can see mustard, you can see spinach, you can see methi, that is fenugreek, mint. All these are very simple sources, easily available of calcium. These is also bioavailable calcium. Some of these also need to be cooked. They may have oxalates, but on cooking it is much better. You also can make raw smoothies from these greens and do include them in your day-to-day life in a rotation basis. All your greens are a great source of calcium. So to sum it up, let me tell you some calcium superfoods. Sesame seeds, black and white, nachni, that's also called as ragi, turnip greens, moringa and curry leaves, all the sprouts, then ajwain, all the celery seeds, broccoli, kale and bok choy, soy family, and fresh fruits and all the nice colored vegetables are calcium superfoods. So, what about my calcium? Calcium? Everybody keeps asking about calcium. Where will I get my calcium from? Calcium is right there in all the foods that are around us. It's as simple as that.
So that's probably one of the biggest roadblocks that a plant-based pediatrician would face anywhere in the world, but particularly in India, the dairy capital of the world, and also I think just a long history of recommending and encouraging dairy, particularly milk from age 0 to 18. So it's an uphill battle explaining why and that children do not need milk to grow. They don't need milk to do well in school. They don't need milk to become strong and do well in sports. You can get plenty of protein, calcium, vitamin D, iron, all of these things from plants. So, and in particular, interestingly, one of the biggest concerns we see in small children from toddlerhood through preschoolhood, so from age about 15 months to about age 5. So that's one big problem with having a lot of dairy, with pushing dairy for your child. Kind of along the same lines, as everyone thinks of milk as the perfect drink, the perfect food for their child, but having large amounts of milk, again, from age toddlerhood on, is associated with an increased risk of iron deficiency anemia. Many times when we do our routine blood check at age 12 months or 15 months, we find that the child is anemic, sometimes severely anemic, requiring transfusion, requiring hospitalization, and there is no other reason. We've done the full workup except for large amount of milk intake. So milk, on the converse of being super healthy, can actually be dangerous for your child.
So if you have milk, you give milk to the child in its native form without any additions, I'm sure very few children will really take to it. It's really the additions which are made in the sugar or the syrups or the flavors and the so-called protein shakes and all that which are added, which really attract the child. It's not the milk. Pure milk from any animal really does not have any great taste, which will hook the child on. So it's a myth created by the vested interests to promote milk sales.
Let me give you examples of a few strong herbivore animals. These are zebra, cow, giraffe, elephant, camel, goat, rabbit, horse, deer, donkey, and hippopotamus. Wow! And they are not calcium deficient.
Here is something very interesting. There was a longitudinal study done. 20,000 or so women were studied, right from the point when they were young women to much older. And they noticed something very startling, and that is the more milk they drank when they were children, the more chances of them getting osteoporosis, weakened brittle bones, and more chances of hip fracture. So it was a very clear-cut study saying that if the more milk you drink, the more chances of you getting brittle bones. Exactly, ironically, opposite of what many of the advertisements say, that drink more milk for making your bones strong, which is exact opposite, unfortunately. So avoid milk if you want to avoid acidity, and it will be good for you.
One of the questions that I'm often asked is that dairy has more calcium than soy milk. Then how do you justify taking soy milk for calcium? Won't we be calcium deficient? Here is the explanation. Let's hear from a nutritionist.
Yes, soy definitely has less calcium than the cow's milk. But at the same time, in the context of lifestyles today, where excess calcium is actually causing more harm. So the important note here is where studies and a lot more have come out of how excess calcium is harming the body. So the context needs to be, set in terms of why are we seeking so much calcium anyways from one plant milk. There is abundance in other foods, and excess calcium in other forms, whether it is in the form of milk or even if it's fortified excess, or even if it's in the form of a pill, is it needed so much in the way we are abundantly having it today, or there needs to be a certain moderation which is anyways there in soy? So looking at a holistic context, it works.
So soy milk is definitely an option to cow's milk, but no white liquid is actually needed for our child to consume. So instead of just giving a soy milk, I would suggest that parents give a healthy snack at the same time. So there is no need to give any white liquid to the child. But yes, soy milk is a good option when you have to use it in smoothies or milkshakes, which I feel should be occasional ones. The routine food should be the simple home cooked food, which really does not need any white liquid. But soy milk is definitely a better option than regular milk.
So thinking about protein, all mothers know my child needs protein for growth. But she also has this information that she will give milk for protein. अगर मेरा बच्चा दूध नहीं पिएगा तो बड़ा कैसे होगा? प्रोटीन के लिए मिल्क पीना ही है. So she will make sure that her child takes daily quota of protein for growth. But how much protein does milk have? And how much protein do we really need? Let's find out right now.
Let me ask you, what is the period in the life of a human being when growth is the maximum? That is the period, the first year of life, from newborn till the baby becomes 1 year of life. Most of the food that comes to the baby is breast milk, human breast milk. Now, suppose I were to ask you, what is the percentage of protein in 100 calories of, what would your answer be? The correct answer is 5 to 8%. 5 to 8 calories out of 100 calories of breast milk are from protein. And this is the food of a baby when the growth of the body is maximum. So that should tell you how much protein is actually required for growth of tissues.
And we can easily get our protein from plant sources because plants have all the amino acids. There are about 20 amino acids and 9 of them are essential. And our human body is capable of making the other amino acids when given the 9 essential amino acids. So protein sources from children, a few of them can be soya, can be given in the form of soy milk or tofu or tempeh, or even edamame. We get nice edamame beans and we can steam and just, season them lightly. Children like them. We also can give them protein through a lot of other legumes. We have a host of legumes available in India. To name a few, it can be, cowpeas, moong beans, it can be horse gram, so chickpeas, rajma, all these are clean sources of protein. Protein is also available in a lot of vegetables. Broccoli is among the, at the top of the list. And also a lot of grains, especially unpolished grains, millets, unpolished rice will also give us protein. Basically, plants have all the amino acids available and we just need to make use of correct choices so that we give enough protein to our growing kids.
I have been vegan for 15 years now, and in 2014 when I got to know I was pregnant, I was already vegan for 6 years by then. A lot of people told me that you cannot have a pregnancy without any dairy in your diet. Since we are a vegetarian friendly country, people have pregnancies on a vegetarian diet. But there's a lot of focus on dairy when a woman tells her family or her doctors or her nutritionist that she's pregnant. And this is because people think that a woman who is pregnant needs a lot more calcium, a lot more protein to support the growing baby. So when I discovered that I was pregnant, I started reading up on all the various people before me who had vegan pregnancies and who've been through this process. There are many books out there, there are many blogs out there. And I equipped myself with the knowledge
to be able to answer people and also to be able to prove to myself and to other people that it was possible to have a pregnancy on a vegan diet. I've had 2 pregnancies so far, and both my pregnancies have been completely healthy. I concentrated on having as much as a whole food plant-based diet as possible. I had salads, I had smoothies, I had a regular Indian khana. I didn't do anything fancy.
"40 years ago, when I was a medical student, we did not hear the word PCOD or PCOS, or we didn't have so many infertility clinics. But nowadays, we hear a lot about it. So I want to find out, is there a link between dairy consumption and PCOD and infertility? Let's hear what is the issue."
So I'm seeing a lot of girls and boys as well attaining early puberty. So puberty is when they see body changes in themselves, and finally the pubertal changes are seen in the child's body. And below 8 years in girls and below 9 years in boys, we call it precocious puberty. So the precocious puberty is also on the rise because of a lot of factors. Many of them are environmental factors. So we have a lot of toxins in our environment. But along with that, diet and lifestyle also plays an important role. So a child who is not exercising enough and who's not eating well will tend to put on extra weight. The extra fat in the body will trigger the pituitary to make the gland in the brain to make the puberty hormones, and it can invite early puberty. And diet that plays a major role is a diet which is poor in fiber and rich in fats. So which is nothing but mainly dairy and animal products. So children need to follow a healthy diet devoid of dairy products, devoid of animal products, and more of fruit and vegetables, which will give them all the nutrition, the fiber. And children need to be physically active to attain puberty at the correct age. So to avoid premature puberty, we need to cut out on animal products for sure.
Those who are unable to conceive, it would be worth trying eliminating dairy from your diet for a few months and see how your own hormonal cycle resets itself and conceiving becomes a very natural, happy affair.
So at the time me and my husband were married, we never went for any kind of contraceptives. We were always, having normal married life. And, but, things never worked out. And like we used to think about it, and it was time like parents also used to, say to us that, it's time that you all should, start your family and etc. But we were like, okay, not to have children, because somewhere me and my husband both believe that, if it is not happening, we should not, go for all this kind of treatment. Nothing wrong in going for those treatments if you think. To get a gynec also to support you is a big thing, because not most gynecs support on a whole plant-based diet. Luckily, I was lucky enough to get a gynec who supported me with this diet, and she said, okay, if you want to continue, it's fine. As long as you are eating healthy, I have nothing to go about it. But to my surprise and my husband's surprise, it's been 6 or 8 months we were on whole plant-based diet, and I conceived. And my age at that point of time was 39 to conceive, and that too naturally. So it was a big thing, and we were very happy about it, and we just welcomed the thing. And I had immense faith that this is the right diet for me, and I think for everyone, and it makes a lot of difference. I could feel the difference in my periods, in my body, in my mind. Lot of changes were there. Okay, the moment I became pregnant, there was a question. Now the mother and the mother-in-law both that how you cannot be on this whole plant-based diet alone. You need to have something more. You should have milk, you should have ghee, because it helps you in delivery, etc. I had immense faith on this, And I said, no, this has helped me to conceive. That means there's something right with this, and I will continue with this.
Being pregnant on a plant-based diet as a vegan, for me, I think was I didn't have any unnatural experiences. All my levels were in check. I didn't have to do anything extra to add extra protein or calcium into my diet. It went off smoothly for me. I barely had any nausea, and both my children were born healthy weights as well, without me having to take any extra dairy products or animal products in my diet.
Here we are presenting you a family. Parents chose not to give any other animal's milk once the weaning is done. The child was breastfed, and after that, no dairy. He was just eating all natural food, more in the raw form, fruits and vegetables. When you look at his growth, you can see how wonderfully he is thriving. It makes us rethink about us introducing dairy products to our child very early in life.
I think one thing that we had understood from the very beginning is to have food in its natural form. It's not refined. And as long as you stick to that principle, he'll be very healthy. And we started seeing signs of that very early on, the result of it. One of the things was we always questioned, if you're not having dairy, then how is he going to get his calcium? But because, we had enough information, research, knowledge, it was very clear that you don't need to get calcium out of dairy sources. Then, and we started seeing that because he was only having breast milk, and also he was having anything, fruits, vegetables, things like that, even when he was weaning off. We started seeing the result, because by the time he was 8 months, he had 8 teeth already, and his teeth formed very, very naturally, without any issues.
Yes.
Even his walking, his running, climbing, wanting to do a lot of natural things which kids do, he was doing very confidently, very early on, if given the opportunity. So we never really saw any concern as he was growing up. As you can see, like in his physical attributes, he's developed very well, and that's we believe it's due to having a very natural diet.
भगवान ने दिया हुआ खाना खाते हैं, तब भगवान
What an incredible chapter 1. Wow. We always thought dairy was sattvic. You cannot live life without dairy. You have to have it. But here, everything that was presented was completely different. With all the research data, medical doctors talking to you, so many testimonial stories of people who made big transformations in their life. This is giving us hope. Our children and women need to be helped with this information. We begin life in the first or second month itself with the animal milk. But now is the time to rethink. Take a different path. Make your informed choice. And begin your journey. I'll see you in the next chapter about how dairy is linked with so many lifestyle related diseases and so many inspiring stories of people who have reversed their diseases by giving up dairy products. Namaste.